From under the totem pole. Bringing it to you live. Yes, we are. From under the totem pole. Yeah. Yo, welcome to the first show from under the totem pole. And that's where we bring you our opinion from under the totem pole. Not the bottom, but under the totem pole. Take your time and think it through what that means. You understand? But we over here getting it together. This is our first show. We still don't even have our mics yet. We got them in, but they're not working properly, so we had to use some of our bootleg old mics. There's no worries, though. We'll get it to you. But what I want to break down, but first, before I break anything down, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Big Tux. And sitting next to me is the homie Jali, Jali.
What's up?
We're going to give it to you live. So, what I first want to do for you guys today is break down what a totem pole means. And a totem pole is a pole or a pillar carved and painted with a series of totemic symbols representing family lineage and often mythical or historical incidents, and erected by Indian tribes of the northwest coast of North America. Also, another definition for that would be an order of rank, a hierarchy. That's what we'll be speaking from in these series of shows. We're gonna break down the hierarchy and how it goes. And first thing we gotta let you know, because a lot of people don't know anything about anything when it deals with race and how race works, how racism works, where racism is, where you can find racism, how can you help if you want to help decrease racism. There's a lot of things as I go through my life and went through my life and I talk to people in depths, I realized this. And so the first thing I need to do for you guys is let you guys know how the stack rank goes. Now, in America, we're based on color system, colorism, like most of the other major countries in the world, as I traveled to and witnessed it for myself. So I'm gonna go down how colorism in a white supremacist country works. You have the white male on top, then the white female. You have the Asian male, then you have the Asian female. You have the East Indian Arab male, and the East Indian Arab female. You have the Latin male, then you have the Latin female. Then at the bottom, you have the black female, and the black male is all the way at the bottom. Now take that in. Now I know you probably want to ask, why is that? Why is the black female over the male? But we'll get into that in a series of our show. And we'll break it down to you in depth. Anything you want to add to that, to the stack ranking?
No, I think it's perfect, and I can't wait to dive in and, like you said, let the people know how that hierarchy works in this country.
And also know that we are black and we're black first, so we're going to be coming from our perspective, from the black perspective, when we're breaking down racism. And I have a definition by Dr. Claude Anderson, and I agree with wholeheartedly on what racism is. And I'll give you all that so you can start with that and see where we're going with this show. But Dr. Claude Anderson said, racism is a wealth and power-based competitive relationship between blacks and non-blacks. The sole purpose of racism is to support and ensure that the white majority and its ethnic subgroups, keep in mind, ethnic subgroups, continue to dominate and use blacks as a means to produce wealth and power. Centuries of black enslavement and Jim Crow semi-slavery resulted in the majority society becoming the 99-foot giants and black people only being 1-foot little people. This massive inequality in wealth and resources made blacks non-competitive and totally dependent upon whites for the necessities of life. True racism exists only when one group holds a disproportionate share of wealth and power over another group, and then uses those very same resources to marginalize, exploit, and subordinate the weaker group. In America, there are some whites who use wealth and power to marginalize, exploit, and to subordinate blacks. Whites can deny blacks employment, educational opportunities, business resources, a place to live, or the right to vote. You've seen them snatching that earlier in the last election. So, therefore, according to this definition, black people cannot Let me repeat that. Therefore, according to this definition, black people cannot be racist. No group of blacks has the power or the need to have exclusive control of resources to the degree that they can educationally, politically, and economically and socially exploit and marginalize the white race. Blacks can only react to racism and try to alter the conditions that racism creates. That was a quote by Dr. Claude Anderson on what racism is. I agree, and I added a couple of words because racism is prejudice plus power, to put it in short. And we need to keep reminding people, because it's as simple as it is, people have a problem understanding what that is and how to move on that. And especially people outside of the black race that swear they want to help. If you want to help, do you even know what racism is? Do you even know how it works? Because you come up and run up on me and say you want to help, but yet you want to equate my struggle to any other struggle. It's not the same. We are not the same. The next part I want to get into, that I also want to stress, and what we'll be speaking from, is that we do not classify ourselves as minority, persons of color. We are black, for lack of a better term. Now, until we find a better term, we'll work on that. If you can trace some things back to the Moorish kingdom and show that, that's fine. But as of now, we'll be addressed as black right now until we find a better term. People of African descent, we can work on that. There's a couple of other, terms that I agree with, but definitely not minority and people of color. And that's simply the fact that slavery was based on the fact that you were black, not a minority, not a person of color, not a downtrodden, not low income, but black. So keep it in mind when people use those words, how they use them, trickery, to not give black people things or to place blame on black people. And so that's what we're going to talk about in our shows, and that's what we're going to give y'all the truth. We're going to touch on. We also want tangibles from our politicians. That's what our standing theme is going to be. It's like how can you have a problem with black people wanting tangible things from their politicians? We pay fucking taxes. You understand that? So hell yeah, we need fucking tangibles. And be on the lookout. We'll be covering this shady ass election, and we'll be covering all that. We'll be focused on that. As of now, there's no politician that I stand by right now. None.
I agree.
There is no politician that is playing fair with black people. There is nobody. There's just a bunch of people just yelling and screaming. You're not saying anything tangible, so you will not get my vote. Also, on our show, for future topics that we will be discussing, it's things that we need to talk about. It's a lot of things we need to get on. Some of the topics that we'll be exploring, along with current news, is black athletes and their role in the community, the black actors / musicians and their role in the community, news and how they turn the news against all black people, black politicians, the biggest group of sellouts most likely, the non-black allies. Like I spoke on that before, if you're gonna be a non-black ally, you gotta know the real deal. And you gotta get off that big mistake that a lot of non-black allies make and don't listen to black people. If you can't listen to a black person and take their opinion, you are not a ally. Understand that. You are not a ally. You're probably not a good person. If you don't listen to somebody because of their race, you're not a good person. Get the fuck out of here. We're also going to cover ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, and we're all for that. We want those reparations going to those people. I'm a first generation from the Caribbean, but I do fight for my brothers and sisters here, and they need their reparations, because reparations here makes it better for me. We're going to also talk about the Democrats versus the Republicans, which they're all the same. One is an outright racist, the other one is a closet racist group. So let's be clear, we're going to address that and pick that apart. We're going to break down melanin/carbon. We're going to talk about corporate slavery. We're going to talk about credible sources, because a lot of people that I talk race with, they always are looking for a credible source. But you're acting like all these major news sources and all these powers that be are not racist. You have to stop being naive. We're going to also cover religion. There is no organized religion fit for a black family. We'll talk about that. Punishment. You are not truly free if you don't get to punish your enemy as you see fit. We're going to talk about foods to eat. We'll get in depth with Dr. Sebi, his diet, how I lost 60 pounds doing his diet. We're going to get into that. And we're gonna also talk about ADHD and other healthcare atrocities that are used to destroy the black family. We're gonna expand on colorism, and we'll also touch on some of the greats like Neely Fuller, John Henrik Clarke, Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Sebi, Dr. Africa. We're going to talk about all the greats. I know I'm not listing them all, but we're going to be covering those, because it's you have to respect your legends that came before you. We're not going to be giving no shout outs to Martin Luther King on this show, though. Fuck him. So that's where we're going for this show. This is From Under the Totem Pole. That means we are underground looking up, watching everything. We see everything. You just don't want to give us our goddamn credit. But we're going to do this show. We're going to put it out there. Whoever wants to hear it, who wants to like and subscribe, all that fancy shit. I really don't give a fuck if you do or not, to be honest. It's just about getting this truth out here and educating the minds. So you can either roll with that or not. But stay tuned for the next show. We'll be here, like, we're gonna try to do a show a week, maybe 2 shows a week. So check it out. This is Big Tux, Jali. The show is called From Under the Totem Pole. Got our eyes on you.
Yes, yes.
From Under the Totem Pole. Bringing it to you live. From Under the Totem Pole.